The Creative Strategist Toolkit. What tools and softwares do you actually need to excel in your role as a creative strategist, or a media buyer, or a business owner, or someone who works in the creative team? Really, this is for anyone who touches the creative of a Facebook ads account or a TikTok ads account. The tools that I'm about to go over with you are the tools that I legitimately use every single day. I'm going to go over my entire workflow and primarily focus on the tools that I use to make the creative happen. Now, really quickly, here's an overview of the creative strategist workflow. Essentially, this is how we make creative. And don't worry, we're going to be going over this process way more in depth in the module that's titled the Creative Project Workflow. But I want to go over it here so that you can begin to understand why you might want to use these tools to enhance your own project workflow. So as you can see, I have a 6-step process when it comes to developing creative that converts. So essentially what happens here is first we want to conduct research on what type of creative we want to make first. And then we're going to start road mapping out the creative that we actually want to execute on. Once we've written those briefs and assigned it to the right video editors, then it goes into post-production. Post-production is then going to give it back to the creative and growth teams to go over a quality analysis. In general, we have about 2 rounds of QA internally, and then of course we send it over the client to get their final sign-off. And then we're going to be launching those creatives in the ad accounts and then analyzing performance. So let's zoom in on the research phase. My number one here, perhaps it's unsurprising, is Foreplay. I love using Foreplay to be able to track and maintain creatives. Honestly, I kind of use the discovery feed these days as like a social media feed. I just like to see what people are saving. But what I'll generally do when I'm onboarding a client is I'll create a board that's especially for them, and I'll begin saving ad creatives that I think we might want to test. I'm also going to include a lesson on exactly how I utilize Foreplay. Now, the other tool that I'm using in the research phase is Notion. And this is primarily for documenting workflow as well as maintaining databases. So this is where I like to keep a database of creatives, which I've also provided for you, as well as maintaining a database of creators that I've worked with. But really, this is how I'm detailing my standard operating procedures. So this process in SOP lives in Notion. Another tool that I'm utilizing in the research portion is I like to utilize FigJam for brainstorms. Now, one of my favorite brainstorms to actually do is something called Crazy Eights. And essentially what you do in Crazy Eight is you're gonna have a time period. I generally do 10 minutes, and every single person who's in that brainstorm is then going to have 8 postcards to detail out their ideas for creative. I generally like to start that session with a download on the research and analysis that we conducted for that brand so that people are coming to that brainstorm really well informed. I have a link below so that you can check that out if you have FigJam. But you could probably recreate it using Post-it notes or even something online. Now for the roadmap session, I'm not really getting too fancy here. I am using Google Sheets to maintain my roadmaps. And then when I'm starting to project manage the actual creative, so I'm starting to detail which video editor or which graphic designer I want to work on the ad set, that's when I'm using a project management software. Now, I've used everything from Asana, Linear, and Trello, and I would say that Trello right now is my favorite. It's just really simple, and I've also seen teams big and small utilize this project management workflow. I'm going to go into my exact process and the way that I use it more in the module titled The Creative Project Workflow. Now, for post-production, my teams are primarily using Adobe Premiere Pro as well as After Effects. For some of the more native treatments, we are utilizing CapCut, which in addition to having a mobile app, also has a desktop option as well. And the cool thing is that's completely free. I'm also using Canva for a majority of my image graphics. However, in my experience, most designers at agency teams are going to be using Figma, which is also a really good option. I just personally find that Canva is more user-friendly for myself, but I'm not a designer. Now, when we get to the QA portion, the way that the graphic designers and video editors are actually delivering the creative for that internal round of feedback is using a platform called Frame.io. And what I really like about this platform is you're able to give feedback and toggle to different sections of the video and even point out different sections on image creative to be able to detail the exact changes that need to be made. And we're using this not only internally, but also client-facing as well. And this way, it's really easy to track when clients give approval. For the agency teams that I've worked on as well, we've also used Frame as a way to manage and store our creatives. And when I've personally worked with brands, to be honest, I've used Google Drive. I didn't really complicate it. I have, however, used Dropbox. I've used Box, but I found that the simplicity and the fact that most people are really familiar with Google Drive just made that storage platform a lot easier. Most clients use it, frankly. Now, when we start to analyze performance, of course, we're going to be analyzing a lot of data right inside of Ads Manager, but I'm also leaning in heavily into Motion. This is amazing for quick reporting for media buying teams. And honestly, this is also the only type of reporting that I actually felt like my creative teams were able to ingest and then make analysis from the performance. This is amazing for quick and automated reporting for media buying and growth teams, but it's also perfect for creative teams who aren't as comfortable with data and inside of Ads Manager. I also really like utilizing it for more of those higher level learnings. And yes, I will have a separate lesson on the exact types of reports I'm building out in Motion. Now, the final tool that I'm utilizing in the analysis portion of this is Varos. This platform is key for benchmarking your KPIs and data against other brands in your industry. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked the question, what's a good click-through rate? What's a good hook rate? What's a good hold rate? What's a good ROAS? What's a good CPA? And Varos can tell you that data. You can just look at conversion campaigns. You can take a look at different types of industries, different types of niches. I really like utilizing this tool so that I can ultimately compare where the brand that I'm working with is against other brands in their industry. And that's it. That's a high-level overview of all the tools that I'm utilizing as a creative strategist on a day-to-day basis. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll see you in the next lesson.